Is there something about females that you wanted to know but could never figure out? Are you struggling with relationships? Do you feel like you're being taken advantage of by the women in your life? Do you want to know how to leverage the playing field to your favor? Well, did you know that the female mind and the female psyche are mysterious and unexplored regions like the dark web of the internet? For this reason, men need a method of decrypting or hacking the manipulative psyche or dark web of the female mind. Once a man has a deep understanding of true female nature, he will then be able to hack her programming.
Access granted.
The purpose of this book is to help grown males evolve into men so that they can treat the women in their lives accordingly.
You win.
Now you mentioned, speaking of, this, how the mind works. You mentioned how the creature lies, right? And lies to itself. But these lies are true lies. Can you break that down for us? The true lies.
It's funny you asked that, because just the other day I was talking to a co-worker of mine, that's the opposite sex, whatever. And long story short, she basically said, my reality, blah, blah, blah. I said, hold on. You just realized you just said my reality, right? She's like, yeah. I was like, yo, there's only one reality. She was like, no, it's just I was just in my mind. I was like, it's just so many things that I noticed more since I wrote my book. Is like this. People need to read my book, man. Once you read my book, you will understand. So back to lies and true lies. Exactly, please. Back to lies and true lies. You have to understand that, how can I say this? They really do live in their own world. Yeah. It's a solipsistic life. Like, and again, I do not blame them, because one of the things that I spoke about, first things that I spoke about in my book before describing them is, well, one of the first things that I said was, they are important in society. Let me start off by saying that. Before I even go further into this video, let me start off by saying that they are important in society. They are the gender that takes care of the pediatric and geriatric portion of society. You know what I mean? They are the caretakers and nurturers of society. I mean, a lot of modern versions of them aren't, the best versions of what we've seen. But just in general, I just want it to be known that the opposite sex is needed, and that they are important in society. But with that being said, back to true lies. So they live in their own world. Solipsistic, meaning like they are the center. And the reason why I'm not mad at it, that's one of the things I want to emphasize in this entire video, is that I'm not mad at true female nature. The reason I'm not upset at this is because they have a survival mentality. Now, you have to understand that it's all right. Back to being able to see through a female lens. What I said in the book is, the way that I want the average male, to see through a female lens when it comes to the survival mentality is, and I'm gonna try to keep it as PG as possible. Imagine every male listening to this. I don't care how alpha you are, how tall, how big, or whatever. Imagine you are 100 pounds soaking wet with Timberlands on, and you are wrongfully convicted of a crime, and you are sent to a max penitentiary prison, where they have behind bandits, the most behind bandits in the world, and the average inmate in there is about, 6'4" and 260 pounds, right? Anybody who's smart in that situation, you're 100 pounds soaking wet, and you go into a situation like that where they got the bandits in there, you know what I mean? You're gonna find a way to align yourself with the, for lack of a better term, the head, whoever's running it. Because imagine if you're the right-hand man of the dude who's running it, he gonna be like, yo, don't touch so-and-so, he's my man. Don't even, I don't care what the bandits think, or you ain't touching them, right? You're gonna find ways to, basically you're gonna be hypergamous. You're gonna be trying to align with the biggest, exactly, with the biggest or the strongest dude in there, so that you could be his right-hand man and be like, yo, don't fuck with, don't mess with so-and-so, that's so-and-so's man. So I give that analogy because I've had the opposite sex tell me, like, oh, when I go outside, I have to be worried about getting raped and all that. I'm looking like, what? What are you talking about? But when I think about it, That's not something I'm worried about in the outside public. But with the same scenario that I give you with being 100 pounds soaking wet, if you're in that scenario and that was a situation where when you walked out your cell, there was a possibility that might happen to you, yeah, you might move differently. So that changed my mentality as far as the way women move. That's why I understand why they have to be worried, not worried, but concerned with their associations. Yeah. They have to be grouped up with somebody. You understand? So that's why they can be friends with these group of chicks real quick for 2-3 years, and now she's cool with these chicks for 2-3 years, and you know what I mean? It's all about her because she gotta do what's best for her to survive. Mm-hmm. Because it's not just about getting, you know, I mean, the sexual aspect. It's just in general, just the way that they think. So when it comes to lies, it helps them get through the day. What can I tell you? Like, okay, let me emphasize this. Because I said this in the book. It's like males are brought up to be truthful. You know what I mean? We're told like, why would you lie? Why would you? Are you scared? Mm-hmm. Why you gotta lie for? And
right.
They are not. Like they can lie like that in a woman and go to sleep like a baby, still sleep like a baby.
And so, it's always excused too. It's no repercussion. It's okay. You know, it's expected. It's acceptable. All of these things.
When it comes to, let me talk about how delusional things can get. Back to, like I said, I work in the healthcare field. I was talking to a nurse and I was talking about how shout out to KS, if y'all know the initials, y'all know what I'm talking about. You know, he be asking them, you know, what's your weight and this, that, and the third. And I'm telling this nurse, like, yeah, there was this caller who called in, and you know, she was saying that she's 5'3", 200 pounds, and this, that, and the third, blah blah blah. And the nurse was telling me like, well, what's the problem with that? I was like, well, that's not healthy. She's like, well, how do you know that 5'2", 200 pounds isn't healthy? I looked at the nurse. The reason I looked at her, because I'm like, yo, I didn't say this, but I'm looking like, yo, you're a nurse. You know why being 5'2", 200 pounds isn't healthy, but because I'm talking about, you know what I mean, your hive, or part of your hive, you just straight defending. Right. So when she said, well, how do you know that 5'2" and 200 pounds isn't healthy? I looked at her and I said, because science says so. She looked, she was like, all right, you got that. But in my head, I'm like, yo, how come you ain't get that? You were nurse. Right. You understand? So that's, you know what I mean? That's how they just stuck in there. Just, you know what I mean? Why can't I have 5 kids, 6 different baby daddies, and still get a dude making 6, 7, 8 figures and paying for everything? Why not? And I am why not? Prince Charming come through and save me, and why not? Huh? Right. He should take me how I am, and okay, cool. If you had a dude who you had a checklist of 5 things, he did A, B, C, D, but he didn't get E, what's good?
Exactly.
Nah. Right. Nah, I need another one.
And you notice it's always for her. It's always take her as she is. Okay, fine. I get that. I'm not mad at you. But like you said, when it comes to a guy, he got to have A, B, C, E, F, and G. And here's the thing. This is the most funny thing to me, man. She doesn't even have, she have a checklist. And she doesn't even have, some of the times, not even one thing on the list. But she expects to get all of those. And I chop it up to being extremely narcissist, arrogant, wicked, and evil. Here's the thing that just knocked me out the ballpark. The creature really believes that she is where all the value lies. She really believes that she's the centerpiece of every and all relationship. In fact, not the centerpiece of just a relationship. She thinks she's the centerpiece of the universe. We always talk about a guy's ego. And don't get me wrong, a guy's ego can be amazingly huge. But since we excuse the creature and look past the creature and make excuses for the creature, we don't realize that her ego is 10 times bigger than yours. I see my brother Xavier in here. Salute to my big bro. Him and Nagone in the building. Salute to those brothers. Appreciate y'all being here.
Hey, background, I want to tap into that ego real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not even gonna lie, man. Within the past few years, I always knew that they had egos. That's what I'm just gonna say that. Matter of fact, that's the proper term nowadays. Anyway, I always knew that they had egos, but it's more recently that I'm realizing like yo, they have bigger egos than dudes.
Yeah.
Like, you can't convince me otherwise at this point. And the reason I say that is because, all right, for people that don't know me, I've rejected a lot of women in my life. I've been selected on a lot of times in my life, right? And so I've rejected a lot of women in my life. They don't like that. That's why I've learned how to reject nicely, not nicely, but in a passive way. You know what I'm saying? Like to ease her emotion, because before I used to just be straight wrong, whatever the case may be. But I say that to say that's what opened my eyes to their ego. Now I'm realizing, like, when it comes to, you know, them being takers, them only thinking of themselves, like, I realize it's really an ego thing. Like, even coming to realize how many of them break up their relationships or their family, a lot of it comes down to their ego, because their ego might have been broken. I mean, realizing they do cheating on them. It's like in their minds, like, they can't imagine, like, I got the best. How would you ever dare even go somewhere else? I gave you the best, and I mean, so their ego, sure. But if you really understand ego, and if you really truly get to understand my book, then you really can become a hacker, because understand it's all about being able to control your life and things around in your life, man. Because like we said, they are an accessory to life, a bonus to life. It's not the primary focus.
Right.
So once you know how to utilize, you know, that aspect of life, which they are an aspect of life that you need to utilize within your life, life is so much easier, because remember, there's more of them than us.
Yeah.
So once you know how to utilize them within your life the way you need them to, life is beautiful, man.
Is there something about females that you wanted to know but could never figure out? Are you struggling with relationships? Do you feel like you're being taken advantage of by the women in your life? Do you want to know how to leverage the playing field to your favor? Well, did you know that the female mind and the female psyche are mysterious and unexplored regions like the dark web of the internet? For this reason, men need a method of decrypting or hacking the manipulative psyche or dark web of the female mind. Once a man has a deep understanding of true female nature, he will then be able to hack her programming.
Access granted.
The purpose of this book is to help grown males evolve into men so that they can treat the women in their lives accordingly.
You win.